My name is Kathy Henkins. I'm living here in Silver Spring, Maryland. I care for my husband. He has a type of dementia called amyloid angiopathy. And the neurologist says there's a touch of Alzheimer's there too. He was diagnosed in 2019. I did jump right into the role of caregiver, but that's because I've been there before. And it was second nature to do it. My first husband was ill, and so I knew immediately how to jump in. And plus, I guess I focused on helping him understand what was going on, because there's lots of denial there's still denial on his part, but there was a lot of denial. I had to bring him to a reckoning as best I could. But I also had to take control of doctors. I think the first thing I did was make myself a patient of his doctor. And I got an appointment with her. And then I told her what was going on. And she immediately did everything to make sure I was the person that she talked to a lot. And then I went about rearranging things. For instance, I got all of his doctors in the Johns Hopkins system, because that made it one-stop shopping. And I knew that would be easy than having doctors here and there. They could all talk to each other. And then I just went about making sure I understood everything that was going on with him, because it's more than just the dementia. My husband now, at the time, he was 71, maybe, something like that. And so there were other things that need to be taken care of. Taking over the household, oh my goodness. Here you've got an individual who is somewhat in denial, who still thinks he's in charge of certain things. And one of the first things that goes awry is bill paying. I had someone stop by my house. The bank sent me here. They wanted to know if someone was still living here. My husband had stopped paying the mortgage. Oh my gosh. And he was in denial. He actually said, I don't know what they're talking about. It was like, ah. And so let's just say I had to move into another element for my situation. And that was be very, very strong, very, very, almost sometimes in his face saying no. And so I took over the bills. I took over everything that had to do with the household. Anything that I was it. I was the doctors, I was the household, I was like repairs and yard and everything. Just living was my responsibility. And so taking over that was a pretty big deal. My biggest resource, and that was one of the first things I did, was join a group. It was great. It was great. And I think any group, the one thing I liked about the Holy Cross group is that we met every week, once a week. Some groups meet monthly, but that wouldn't have done it for me early on. And my husband goes to daycare sponsored by the Jewish Council for the Aging, and they also have caregiver groups that meet once a week online. I know that for sure, but groups are everywhere. Resources are just everywhere. I teach yoga. This is one of my retirement jobs, is teaching yoga and meditation and stuff. And so I go to my huggy-feely places. I disappear and I'll go to, there's a place up in the Catskills called Oasis, which has cabins in the woods and lots of wonderful things like painting there and dancing and all of that kind of stuff. And so I usually spend the week there when I'm at my wit's end. But I go to those kinds of places. I might disappear for a weekend. I find a weekend retreat somewhere, because it gets hard and there are times when I'm angry at the world. I can't do this anymore. You want it to just, And so there are places where I can take my husband while I go away. And I also have my son. My son actually, I begged him, he wasn't married. He didn't have a steady girlfriend at the time. And I said, move in with your mother and help me out. Save your money. It'll be so wonderful. And he did. So he's sometimes my retreat babysitter too. It's hard. They don't understand. A lot of people don't get it. They don't know what it's like to wake up several times in the night because your loved one is getting up and going to the bathroom, or being responsible for everything as well as trying to be you. It's just difficult to be acknowledged. It's difficult to exist because you disappear sometimes in other people's vision. You're there, but it's not you. You're just the caregiver. And that's hard. And I wish people understood that better. Mourn your loss and then do what you need to do. And maybe one other thing. Don't beat yourself up about anything. Your journey is your journey. Do what you have to do and don't feel guilty and don't beat yourself up about anything. But I guess the biggest thing is mourn the loss. Let your emotions be expressed. Feel that, because it is a loss, but then you move on.